Hi, welcome to Moomoomath. Today we're going to look at some properties of rectangles. Okay, first of all, let's define a rectangle. It is a quadrilateral, so it has four sides, and it's also a parallelogram, which means that the opposite sides are parallel to each other, and it also has a couple extra characteristics. Not only are the opposite sides congruent, so the top and the bottom are congruent, but the top and the bottom are actually different lengths. So let's say that this side is 5, this side would be 5, and let's make this top side 12, which means the bottom would be 12. Okay, so there are some sides of a rectangle. We also have 4 right angles. So this corner, this corner, this corner, and this corner, all 4 angles are right angles. Now let's say that we wanted to find the perimeter. We would just add the 4 sides up, but we have 2 that are 5 and 2 that are 12, so you can use 2 bases plus 2 heights, and you would get 10 plus 24, or 34 for the perimeter. Okay, now let's look at the area. The area of a rectangle is very simple. It's just base times height. So you take your base of 12 and your height of 5 and multiply them together, and you get 60 units squared. And now let's look for a diagonal. Okay, the diagonal of a rectangle. Well, a diagonal of a rectangle is actually the hypotenuse of a right triangle. So if we have one side that's 5, one side that's 12, and then we isolate this triangle I'm drawing in black, you can see we have a right triangle where we don't know the hypotenuse, so we don't know C. So we can actually use the Pythagorean theorem to find the length of the diagonal. So let's take 5 squared, which is a squared, plus 12 squared, which is b squared, and solve for c squared. Once you multiply all that out, you get 169 equals c squared, so c has to be 13. So our diagonal has a length of 13. So there are some properties of a rectangle. Hope this video was helpful.